إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفر ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. All praise belongs to Allah. We praise Him. We seek His forgiveness and His guidance. We seek refuge in Allah from the evils of our own deeds. And we seek refuge in Allah from the evil effects of our egos and our actions. Anyone whom Allah guides, then no one can lead him astray. And anyone whom Allah leaves astray, then none can guide him. And I bear witness that there is nothing worthy of worship and no other gods except Allah, who stands alone, has no partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is His slave and His messenger. Today we have the great pleasure of beginning a short lesson in Arabic. Now, Arabic different from tafsir. Tafsir is a type of lesson that anyone can listen to no matter what level you are on. Arabic, however, is what some people call a dry science. When a lot of the tulab al-ilm, the students of knowledge, when they go to study, they have to stop at two great doors before they can get into anything else. Those doors are the Arabic language and the Quran and its sciences. At those points, you usually see the weeding out of the serious student and the students who want to give fatwa in their first year or two. Is that correct, Sheikh? A lot of people when they get to Arabic, they expect to, after a year or so, be able to do something. Arabic, I believe, after the Quran, is the most important subject. Because with Arabic, it is the salt in the speech, it is the proof of the faqih, it is used everywhere, in every science, you need the Arabic language. So, unlike tafsir, all you have to do is listen in tafsir class. Just listen and pay attention to the stories. Arabic, you have to memorize. You have to study. You have to understand concepts. And you can get lost along the way if you don't do it stair-stepped. The problem with the Arabic language is that many people have not mastered it who begin to teach it. And the second thing is that the desire from the English-speaking people hasn't been there. Sadly, I believe there has been more Western people from the West, America and Europe, learning Arabic since post-9/11 than there have been Muslims. Okay? I used to teach Arabic in Egypt. And many of the people that came over there were not Muslims. Majority were not Muslims. So it's a thing of desire. It's a shame that there are probably more eloquent speaking non-Muslims in the American diaspora, post-9/11, than there are Muslims. Hopefully, inshallah, we won't be amongst them. Okay, we won't be amongst those people who don't have the Arabic language. It's very easy. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put the deen in Arabic. So for those who argue that it is not important, they need to reevaluate that idea. Allah put everything, all this, the Quran is in Arabic. Let's go first. The way I teach the science of Arabic is maybe a little bit different from what people may be accustomed to. I'm not going to teach you how to speak Arabic. It's not a class for you to say, Ana ismi Mukhlis bin Lanzo masmuka. This is not that type of class. What I intend to give you is the science of the Arabic language, sirrul lugha, the secrets of the language, things that you've never heard before in English language, because they never have been put in English language. Things that the Orientalists have all confused, and we're going to make clarity of those things right now. And at the same time, we'll be going through a classical beginner's work in the Arabic language called Al-Ajrumiyyah, which a lot of people talk about, but very few people have devoured it. And you have to devour it and it's a children's rhyme in encompassing everything a beginner would need to know in the Arabic science. But it's so comprehensive. It's so comprehensive that usually that is enough for a beginner to get to the stage where he can go on to be a senior. Let's start our class, okay? Again, I want to pull from you guys an important point. I remember my days in Mauritania when I was studying the Arabic language. They were some of my best days of my life. 20 feet away from me, there was a sheikh and his students and his family that I could ask them any question that I ever had on the Arabic language. And with confidence, I would get an answer that was correct. There is no feeling like that whatsoever. There is no feeling, because when you have the hujjah, the proof in the lugha, then you have all the proof that you need after the Quran. So let's go and try to understand the word Arabic. We're studying Arabic language. Arabic language. That's what the subject matter here. Now, Arabic comes from the word Araba. Araba. Everybody say that. Araba. Araba. Araba is a word, it has its own meaning. Araba means to make something, this STH is something, okay, crystal clear. Especially an emotion or feeling. That's what Araba does. So the word Arabiya, what does it mean? I know I'm not in the room by myself.
Crystal clear.
To make something crystal clear, especially in emotion or some type of feeling, some thought. So when Allah says Qur'anan Arabiyan, we already know what Qur'an means. What does Qur'an mean? A recital, right? What does Arabiyan mean? It doesn't mean a Arabic Qur'an. You just spoke in Arabic in Anglicized form. What does it mean then? A recital that makes it crystal clear, that leaves no doubt about the sentiment. And that's what the word Arabic means. It means to make something crystal clear so as to leave no doubt as to what was said, was implied, I should say. And for that reason, when you see the Muslim scholars, the people of grammar, looking at the word, what do they say? They say they're going to make i'rab of the word, using this word right here. I'rab, stemming from the word araba, to make something crystal clear. I'rab means when you look at a sentence from a grammatical point of view, and you can determine, due to the placement of the words and the changes on the end of those words, exactly what was intended. For example, when the great Khalifa Uthman ibn Affan radiyallahu anhu was murdered, Hassan or Hussein, I forget which one, went to Ali ibn Abi Talib and he was sitting down. And he said, "An-nasu qad qatalu Uthmanan." He said, the fact is that the people have fought with Uthman. And Ali did not move. He said, "Man qatala man?" Who killed who? He wanted to understand it because he could not understand the sentence. And he said, "An-nasa qatala Uthmanun." Man qatala man? Who killed who? So then finally he said, "An-nasu qad qatala Uthmana," which is the correct way in Arabic. The people have killed Uthman. And then Ali got up and hit his son. Where were you? Because he had placed him in front of the house to defend Uthman. And he said the people, they came behind the house. They climbed up the wall behind the house. And that was the only reason Ali probably didn't beat him up, for not being in the right place at the right time. However, the point I want to make here is the i'rab, the changes on the words, are very important in understanding what was said. Arabic language, again, is so important, understanding these changes. The people of Tawheed, the scholars of Tawheed, have already proven that every mistake from one of these deviant groups, every deviant group first deviated in a mistake in the language. A linguistic mistake was their first mistake. Every one of these deviant groups, showing the importance of understanding the Arabic language. However, like I said, it is a science
that you need to spend time with. Afterwards, you're ready to go study the other principal sciences, stair-stepped. Those who don't pay attention in the Arabic class, they fail in usul al-fiqh. Because fiqh is fahm. Fiqh is understanding what was intended. Profound understanding. You can't have profound understanding if you don't understand the language. Is that correct? Does that make sense? So, araba means to make something crystal clear so as to leave no doubt as to what was implied, what was intended. Okay? It also is reference, it refers to a particular people known as the Arabs. Okay? Language. The scholars, when they start this lesson, they say, Lughatul Arabiya. Lugha meaning language. Languages are many. The definition of language is those sounds that are shared by all people. Everybody has sounds that come off their tongue, different from the animals who come out their throat. The sounds that people throw off their tongues, they share the sounds, but the meanings are different. Okay? For example, in Wolof, which is a Senegalese language, you say wow. Everybody say that. Wow. Wow. What does wow mean in English? Surprise. It's isti'jab. You're amazed at something. Right? Surprise or amazement. But wow in the Wolof tongue means yes. It's pronounced the exact same way, but the meaning differs because of the people. Languages are many, and they all have the same purpose. The purpose is to express the needs of the people, agradun nas, what the people desire, what they need to express from themselves from a linguistic perspective, a verbal perspective, and that's what we're talking about here. Then this is called language. We're not speaking about what other people speak when they say language, which means anything anybody does, like hand movement or reading materials alone. We're talking about what someone says. This is language, what we're talking about. Now, when we talk about the Arabic language, we're talking about the language particular to the Arabs. These Arabs are a particular people, ma'ruf, well known for who they are, who speak this particular language. Okay? The meaning of the word Araba, we went over before. Now, what I'm going to say now is a very important principle that you have to remember for the rest of the time that you are studying the Arabic language. It will clear up any confusion you find as you go along. And that principle is, how did we get the Arabic language? We got the Arabic language, hafizatha. The people that have preserved it is the Quran and the Hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. These are the first two proofs in the Arabic language. What I say? And the authentic Hadith, I should clarify, the authentic Hadith are the first two proofs for the Arabic language, and those are the first two things that have preserved the Arabic language. The next thing that has preserved it is the shi'r, the poetry of the Jahiliyyah, of the time before the Quran came. And the thiqatul Arab, the what do you call it, thiqatul Arab? The educated amongst the Arabs. You know, the writers and those people who do the Diwan. So we say the Quran, authentic Hadith, and then poetry prior to Islam. Let's talk about this for a second. And then we're going to say, then the educated writers amongst the Arabs. In this order. The first proof is the Quran. Okay? Now we call this naqlan. We call this naqlan. Say it, guys. Naqlan. Meaning we got this passed down. I'm going to translate this passed down. Aban and Jed. From father to son. Okay? It's come down, passed down. So, reason why I'm saying this before I go into this, to explain this principle, when someone says to you, how come you say it like that? How come you pronounce this word like this, or you make this sentence like this? We say, we don't get into no great argument that some people do in later terms. Well, this happened, and so they chop this word off. No. هَكَذَا سُمِيَ الْعَرَبِ. This is how we heard the Arabs speaking, and we got it passed down from them, and so we imitate it that way. We don't say, okay, as some people get into argument, why do we say Amrun? We say Amrun with a wow, and we say Umar like this. Why do we put this wow here? Why is it? And then they say, well, they put it here because they wanted to distinguish Amrun from Umar when they wrote. No, we don't say that. We don't get into that argument. Because the Arabs did not gather together in some plain someplace and say, you know what? When we write Amrun, it confuses us when we write Umar, so why don't we just put a wow? They didn't do that. هَكَذَا سُمِيَ الْعَرَبِ. This is how we found the Arabs speaking, and this is why we follow it. Ibn Anjad, it's been passed down to us. The Quran has preserved it. The Hadith has preserved it. And then the poetry prior to Islam. Why poetry prior to Islam? Poetry prior to Islam is because the Arabs, prior to Islam, the best thing they had was their poetry. And they used to take this poetry, and they used to, every year someone would stand, Suq al-Aqaz, the people would stand up there and they would recite their best poetry. Whoever came with the best poetry, it's like the hip-hop guys back in the days, I'm not talking about these guys now. They would take their poetry and they would put it on the Kaaba. This is what they say. They said, put it on the Kaaba. And they used to call these mu'allaqat. These are the hanging things that they used to put on the Kaaba. And whoever came with a better poem, they would take that one down and put it up. Okay? And their language was everything. Even now, when you listen to Arabs talking, they really love language. They really listen to what you have to say, and they play with the words, Cousins of Jews, sadly. So 7 poems stayed up. 7 of them. And they never got pulled off until Islam came. These are called mu'allaqat al-sab'a, the 7 hanging poems. Okay? And these are classics in Arabic. The language is very rich. And how they understood the words then, that's how we understand what the Quran was sent down, meaning on the understanding they had. There was no new understanding brought to the words. And so, in the course of your study here, you will study one of the mu'allaqat. One of them. And to have it translated and given to you so that you can understand the style of it to become an expert. We're not going to teach you Arabic. We're going to make you a master of Arabic if you do the work. Okay? Because an Arab does not consider you an Arab speaker until you've memorized some poetry. And some of the poetry is wasteful. So what we do is the beneficial poetry. The thing that's going to help you understand the Quran. Another point is Ibn Abbas, who was tarjum al-Quran, the one who used to interpret the Quran. He used to say, I didn't know the meaning of this until I listened to this poetry. And that helped me learn the meaning of this, that, the, and other thing. So, the educated writers amongst the Arabs, these are the people who are later writers who preserved it and wrote the things like we have Ibn Malik, who wrote the Alfiyat ibn Malik, which is 1,000 lines of Arabic rules. These people preserved the Arabic language in that form. Ibn Hisham, Fayruz-Zubadi, who wrote the great dictionary. Different people like that. Ibn Mundhir, Sibawayh. These people are the ones who preserved the language. And it's interesting to note that the people who preserved the language are not actually Arabs. Besides Ibn Hisham, you don't have one that's an Arab that have preserved the language in written form when we say the educated, when we talk about the educated writers amongst the Arabs. Okay? That's just an interesting point right there for anyone who thinks that this is something belonging to the Arabs and you don't have a piece on it. No, it's like they say, وَلَيْسَ بَيْنَهُ وَبَيْنَ تَرْكِهِ إِلَّا رِيَاضَةٌ امْرِئٍ بِفَكِّهِ. There's nothing between doing it and not doing it except the man playing with his jaw. That's the only thing preventing you. The Arabic language is such a language that the Arabs don't even possess it. Anyone can possess it if they work on it. Look at Sheikh Al-Albani. He's Albanian, meaning albino. And he was one of the greatest Arab scholars of the time, of this time. Right here, rahimahullah. And he wasn't Arab. Okay? So, the greatest dictionary, Lisan al-Arab, was written by a Sudanese. Black guy. African. And that's the greatest, largest, most comprehensive dictionary on the Arabic language. Sibawayh was considered the most foremost grammarian in Arab history. And he was Persian. Okay? So, don't think that you are prevented from the Arabic language. Okay? Wa alaykum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Do I have any questions at this time? If I have no questions, then listen to the next point. Can I get somebody to get this board for me? The next point is the Arabic language has 13 sciences. How many sciences does it have? 13. How many sciences does the Arabic language have? 13. How many sciences does it have? 13. So no one can say they don't know. How many sciences does the Arabic language have? 13. Okay, the Arabic language has 13 sciences. The most important of them is arguable. However, the scholars don't argue about which two should hold that place. One is called Nahwu. Everybody say Nahwu. And the other one is called Sarf. Nahwu was Sarf. I'm going to define this. Nahwu means grammar. Okay? Grammar. And the Sarf means etymology. We're going to talk about this just briefly. Because these are the places we're going to start with. Next, before I forget, before the time runs out, how we're going to break down the Arabic language. The Arabic language here is going to be broken down into 3 forms. Because there's only 3 words in Arabic. In any language, actually, there's only 3 types of words. There is what I'm going to call a harf. Everybody say harf. That is a letter. Literally, it means a tarf, the end of something right there. But we're going to call it a letter. Okay? The second type of word in Arabic is called a fi'lun. Everybody say fi'lun. That is an action word, what we call a verb. It corresponds directly with an action word. And the third type is called an ismun. Everybody say ismun. I'm going to call this a super noun. Okay? Because it's not a noun, as some people erroneously think it is. It's a person, place, thing, and adjective, and description. So, different from the English noun, person, place, a thing, it's a super noun. It includes a description of anything. So that's what a ismun is. And a fi'lun totally corresponds to that. And a harfun is what I'm going to call it's a letter, but it's also a connector, the connector words. Okay? And I'll give you the definition of each one of these after we go over here. Nahwu wa sarf. The word nahwu, everybody say nahwu. Nahwu, it means a lot of things. First of all, it means mithlu. It means like, similar to. That's its literal meaning. How it came about, there's a story. Learn this story. Abu al-Aswad al-Dawali. This is in the time of the Khalifa Ali ibn Abi Talib. Okay? Radiyallahu anhu. He was the Khalifa, and Abu al-Aswad al-Dawali, he was one of his companions. His daughter came to him, and he said to him, her daughter said, hey, oh father, which one of these stars is the brightest, is the best one? So the father said Cyrus is the best one. But what she said in Arabic, what she intended to say in Arabic is, how beautiful is those stars, is that star? The Arabic is changed. If you say, ma akbaru, ma ahsanu najm, right? That says, which one of them is the best looking, which one is beautiful. If you say, ma ahsana an-najm, that means how beautiful it is, what beauty that star is. When she made that mistake, because he told her, Cyrus, he said, no, I didn't mean that. I meant that it was so beautiful. He got afraid. Look, he said, get afraid. Look at my daughter. She's in Arabic. She's making mistakes in the Arabic language. And here we are in this time and era. Why is this happening? Because of mixing of non-Arab peoples in these different cities and everything. Just like when you bring your children here, they start losing their tongue. They start losing their minds and everything like that because they're mixing with another culture that is totally opposite to the one that you've already raised them in. And you have to take great efforts to preserve their Islam in this country. Right? So, alhamdulillah, So the same thing he did. Look what his concern. With his concern, he went to the Khalifa. He didn't think this a light thing. His daughter made a mistake in the Arabic language. The Sahaba used to beat their children if they made a mistake in Nahwu. They called it lahan. They made mistake linguistically. They used to punish them and punish them with giving them a hit. That's how important the Arabic language was to them. And back in those days, they wouldn't feed, some of the people wouldn't feed their children unless they could come up with a line of poetry before they ate. Okay? This was making their minds, utilize their minds and everything like that. But we feed these children and they walk around like crazy. You know? But remember, the purpose for education and raising a child is to enable the child to get along without the parent. Not to make the parent a slave to the child. Okay? But that's a second point, a separate point I should say. So he took his concern to the Khalifa, and the Khalifa said, wow, you know, subhanallah, I shouldn't say wow. This is a very serious thing. What we need to do is we need to preserve the Arabic language. So he said, write a word, an Arabic language is broken down to an ismun, a fi'lun, wa harfun, and an ismun has this, and he started to talk about this. He said, write nahwu dhalik. He said, write something similar to that. Okay? But he used the word nahwu, which means similar to or something like that. And so the science became known as nahwu. That's where the word came from. What it means is grammar. What does it mean? Grammar. As a terminology, it means grammar. Literally, it means similar to or like something. As a terminology, it means what? Grammar. Let me hear louder. Grammar. Grammar in Arabic is the science through which we can recognize and understand the changes that a word has and it goes through due to the placement it has in its sentence and due to the changes that happen at the end of the word. So we understand through the placement of its sentence and the change on the end of the word what that word is doing. After indirajiha fi jumla, after placing it in a sentence. So what is grammar again? It is the science through which we can understand and learn the changes that a word goes through based on the placement in a sentence and the changes at the end of the word. Okay? Each time you place a sentence differently, that word now means something differently. Okay? That's grammar. Based on the changes of the word. Now, I will explain something to you as we get into it, but I just want you to understand that as a general meaning of what grammar is according to the Arab grammarians. Okay? Second, etymology or sarf. The word is sarf. Everybody say sarf. The word sarf has they transliterate this as a S, as a big S. The sound of this word is like if you say the word saw. Say the word saw. Like a saw, this one right here that we write. This is a saw, right? My archery is not too good. This is a saw, right? Everybody see that? Say saw. That's the sound of this saw. Okay? It's called saw. We do make that sound. So don't think about the S like this. Think about this saw. And say, so it's a round mouth where everybody put their mouth like this. There are two openings in your mouth in speaking Arabic. Like this, we call it ithbaq. Go like this. And if maftur or fath, and that's opening like a doorway. Ah. Say ah. Now say saw. Ah. Now say sa. You see you open your mouth up and down like a doorway? This right here is seen. This right here is saw. Say saw. Now say sa. That's the difference. Okay? You shouldn't get them confused. Now, this is called sarf. So your mouth should turn round when you say sarf. Sarf means to give change. To break something down. Literally it means to give change. If you have $1 and that sarf, you have change. And to break it down. As a terminology, it is the science through which we understand the shape and the change, the declination of a word before entering it into a sentence. The meaning of a word in and of itself before we enter it into a sentence. I'll say again, there are 36 shapes of Arabic verbs. How many shapes? 36. We'll go over that again. But there are 36 shapes. Each shape has its own individual meaning. There are no more other shapes that you need to learn when you're dealing with the verbs in Arabic language. Just 36. And we don't use all 36 most of the time. We use about maybe not even half of those. The others are used strange, not too often. Okay? You know, the average person only uses 200 words. So we're not going to use all those different, but you need to become familiar with them all and learn the ones that when you see them. Just like if you're speaking the English language, you don't know every word. You don't think about every word, but when you hear a word, you understand what it means. Just like if we say the word etymology, we see ology over here. What does ology mean? For those people who've been to college, what does ology mean? The study of, right? We don't need to know what etym means, but we know ology means the study of. Likewise, in Arabic, we have something similar. When we see the word ik at the end of a word, what does that mean? Like Islamic. It means like Islam. Okay? Right? That's something that, give me some, comical. Okay? Those types of things we put on the end of the words. These shapes, each one of them have its own meaning no matter what you put the word through. Likewise, Arabic has the same thing. And so in the study of sarf, you learn the shell of the word, because Arabic has two things. Erase the board for me so I can get this down. Has two things. It has the meaning of the word as a shape, right? And then it has the root meaning of a word. Two things. What does it have? The shell. Well, we might call it a car. If you see this type of car or this type of vehicle, you know this is a four-door sedan, right? But if you see this type of vehicle, you know that it's a what? A minivan, right? Or a bus, if you change it up, certain type of thing. And each one of these has its own style, what it does. Now, there's the root word. The root word has, like I say, a three-letter root. 1, 2, 3. And this 1, 2, 3 has its own meaning. Okay? This shape has its own meaning. When you put them together, you get another meaning. You get another shade of meaning that is particular only to this word when it's in this shape. Do you understand? But you can take this meaning and put it in this shape, and that changes the shade of the meaning. It will not be the same one. Just for example, what are we? What? We are Muslims. We are Muslim. Right? The mu in front of a word means what? One who possesses the quality of the rest of the root, right? So we have a munafiq, right? So mu in front of a word, whenever you have it, it means one who possesses the qualities of the rest of the word. That is the shell that we're talking about. Okay? That's the etymology of the word. But then we change the word and we say Islam. This is another change of the word. We put an alif with a kasra and an alif in the middle between the first and the second and the third radical. Now you have Islam. And what does that mean? You're Muslim, you should know what Islam means. Well, it's Islam lillahi bitta'a. It's to surrender your will to Allah through obedience, right? Wa inqiyadu lahu, and to let him turn you any way you want to be going. Okay, but just generally, we know Islam is this way. Same way we have mukhlis. Okay? One who is sincere. And then you have the word ikhlas, which is the same exact shape, which means sincerity, purity. You see, so once we learn the shape of the word, we can take that and use that anytime we see a word, even if we don't know the root. We'll be familiar with what that meaning is trying or coming out to be. Does that make sense? So like I said, there's only 36. You know some of them already. You just don't realize that you know. And that's what we're going to do here. We're going to bring all that, organize everything so that everybody can get it straight. Take the board off for me. So now we have grammar and we have etymology. Those are the main two subjects that we're going to be dealing with. Now we're going to go back over here. We said Arabic language. How much time do I have, Chef? What time do you have to make the Quran? 7 what? 7:20. Okay. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Now we're talking about Arabic language. Arabic language now, like I said, there's 13 different sciences, right? We're not worried about anyone except for these two. Nahwu wa sarf. We'll get to the other ones if we get these. If you understand these, you can get all the rest of them real easy. Now, we're talking about the Arabic language. I said it harf, right? Everybody say harf. Harf. It is, that's right, letters and connectors. That's what I'm calling it right here. This is my terminology. Letters and connectors. Now, I'm going to define that. A letter is well known. It's alif, ba, jim, dal. These are letters, right? It's my theory that if you don't learn the letters correctly, you will never pronounce the Arabic language correct. If you're not familiar with it from the letters, from the very beginning, you will never master the Arabic language. So we have to start with the letters. Because the letters, pronouncing them correctly, is what you do in tajweed. Because هو إعطاء كل حرف حقه من صفة لها ومستحقه. Tajweed is to pronounce each letter and give it its right. من صفة لها, from its sifat, its description, ومستحقه, and those things that are right for that letter when you tie it up with another letter, like the noon, the sakina, the noon that's sitting there. If you don't know, if you can't tell me how to pronounce every letter in the alphabet, you do not know that letter. If you don't know the sifat, the descriptions of the letter, how to twist your mouth to make it, where is the makhraj, the point of articulation for each letter, then you do not know the letter. And you cannot claim that you are pronouncing it correctly if you don't know what you're doing. Does that make sense? Yes. And all we have to do is stop, take a step back, go over the letters. Take one a day. That's all. When we used to memorize Quran, we had a sheikh come to us. He was from India, actually. And we called him Sheikh Muqri. We would recite to him. We think we were going to go recite to him. Every time somebody went to him, you thought he was going to go recite to this guy. And he would stay with him for a month. And you waited for your turn. When he came back, he was really good with his recitation. When it was my turn to go, I realized what he did. Every day, he would give you one. He never let you recite. He took a letter and he wrote it on a piece of paper, alif. Okay, today, and all day today, we're just going to talk about alif. We're just going to recite alif. All day long. You say, I know I know I know oo, but he's making you do it right. The next day you do ba. And after 30 days, when you go to recite, people notice the difference. You don't tell them, because he makes you know, you don't go out there and tell nobody what happened, okay? You go back out there after 30 days and you're reciting really good and everything like that. Sheikh Muqri, all he did was gave you a letter a day, taught you how to pronounce it, where its makhraj is, and made you sit there all day back. He didn't deal with you if you didn't know how to memorize Quran, if you didn't already have memorized Quran. He didn't deal with you. But he straightened you out. You know, because you think, okay, I memorized Quran, I don't need any help now. No, you go back. Likewise, most of us have taught ourselves how to learn the Arabic alphabet. Most of us have picked it up from listening to people, and everybody's an expert. But we know that we haven't gotten the comprehensive meanings of this because we're always listening for more. What I've done here is I've put everything you need to know about the Arabic alphabet, just the letters, right there for you to have. It's makhraj, it's sifat, it's tajweed rule, even the history of the letter. So that you're not worried about someone come and say, okay, I get some more about this word. No, we have it all covered. So that we can do it from a hindsight position. That's the first thing that we're going to do. After that, harf is a terminology for what we call connectors. The connectors are any word that doesn't have a meaning. I should say it like this. هي كلمة دلت على معنى في غيرها ولم تقترن بالزمن. That's the technical meaning. It is a word that points to a meaning in another word, and it's not connected to a time frame. What is it? A word. A connector is a word, or any word that points to a meaning in another word and is not connected to a time frame. Come on, we got to hurry up because we got 2 more words to do. Read this to me, guys. Somebody, read it.
A word that points to a meaning in another
Word, yeah. In another word, thank you.
and is not connected to a time frame.
I'll make it clear to you guys. Under. Under is a word that points to a meaning in something else. By itself, you can't have, it doesn't give you any meaning. Under what? In, from, above, to. These are connectors, though, without which you can't make a sentence sound good. I was going, you can't say anything. I was going store. It makes sense. People can understand you, but you need those connectors. They are words that point to a meaning in another word. They don't have a meaning in and of themselves. And it's not connected to a time frame. I have to move on. Are you guys paying attention? No, huh? Are you paying attention? Okay. Don't think that you're going to be able to just listen to the tape. Okay. No. Leave that there. Leave it there. Okay, leave it there. No problem. Let them keep writing. Sorry, because that's okay. Now, we're going to fi'lun, okay? After we exhaust I'm going to teach you every connector in the Arabic language. You're going to know it real easy. It's a little poem. Min, ila, wa an, wa fi, wa rubba, wal ba, wa ala, wal kaf, wal lam, wa wun, wa ta, wa mud, wa mundu, wa la'alla, hatta. You're going to get to know them and what they all mean. And what they all mean very easily. It sounds crazy right now, but it's very easy. You take a step for step and you get all the way here. Likewise, knowledge, bitta'allum. It's like takallum, the same scale. You say a letter and a word, and you come out with these sentences and all these paragraphs. Likewise, knowledge, bitta'allum, means that you learn one issue, then another issue, then another issue. You don't try to learn all the issues at one time, one at a time. One at a time, and by, you get all of the issues knocked out, inshallah. A fi'lun, everybody say fi'lun. Fi'lun is a word. كلمة هي كلمة دلت على معنى في نفسها وقد اقترنت بإحدى ثلاثة أزمنة. It is a word that points to a meaning in and of itself and is connected to one of three time frames. Either immediate, either past tense, or either present future. Okay? That's what we're talking about. It is a word, a fi'lun. Say fi'lun. Every time I say an Arabic word, you say it. It's a word, say a word, that points to. Come on, you guys sound like you're dead. You know, come on. That points to a meaning in and of itself, and is connected to one of three time frames. One of them is immediate, past, and then we're going to call this one present future. Because you know, as present goes, you're in the future. Okay? Okay, I'm sorry. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم. And this is where we have to stop right now. إقامة الصلاة. It's our adhan.